What is good, Intuition Podcast family? We are back with another episode. We are talking about standing still with God and how He truly is our only source and provider when you really think about it. Point number one, I want you to understand. God will fight with you. Just remember that you're not only in it with yourself. You know, God is always with us everywhere we go. We are never without God. Even when it seems like we are going through the worst storm in our life, so many trials and tribulations just keep coming on, and you just don't know whether to go left or right in certain things. I want you to continue to pray and stand still, and also know too that, you know, God is in control. God is with you during that battle, and also too that He is our source and He will supply all of the abundance of our needs that we really need. I'm telling you, God is the source. God is the true thing that you always need to be leaning on during your times of, you know, heartache, trials and tribulations, you know, questioning what you have going on in your life, what direction that you should go in next. Please go and pray to God about those type of things, because prayer is always the most intentional and the best thing that we can do for God to come intervene with the affairs on earth and with human nature. I'm telling you. Point number two. It's only certain things that God has true control over. No man or woman can really move a mountain for you like God can. Seriously. When a lot of times when people start to go through certain things, you know, people start to, you know, like say you in a money crisis, right? And you just, you know, you got to pay your rent and stuff like that. And you just don't know which way to go. You're like, oh, I need to call my mom, my dad, my sister, my cousin, my friend, my brother. You know, God and Jesus don't really want us to do that. They really want us to lean on them and not others. Seriously, because when you think about it, like it says in the Bible, a man who believes in the Lord shall never lack for anything good. And you also have to stand. Yeah, I remember the pastor in church said this on Sunday. God doesn't like being in debt. So God is going to cash out and pay his debt every time. If you hold God to his word and he sees that you move towards him with prayer and action, and you realize that you give the situation over to him after that you've done everything in your power to control what you can control, you got to let God do what he needs to do after that. God does not like to be in debt. He will cash out on that debt that you put him in after you pray about it. I'm serious now, but you have to meet him halfway. So don't just go thinking, oh, you know, the money's just gonna appear. Nah, if you know what you need to be doing, go towards it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a real thing. You know what? And I also want to talk about a real situation. Over the last month when I went home for Christmas break, because I'm a college student, I did not have a job, right? So, you know, when I went home for these last 3 years, I always had a job to go back to. But, you know, the last job, they terminated all the other employees because of HR and stuff like that. But it wasn't for we didn't get fired, but it was just like the HR was saying that it was too many empty time cards on payroll and stuff like that, right? So, you know, I applied for jobs. You know, I was going home applying for every job that you could possibly think of, but, you know, didn't get anything back. You know, God seen that. God seen me apply for the job. So when that happened, you know, I just felt like God wanted me to just be still and, you know, go home, spend time with my friends and family, reflect on me, rejoice, enjoy the holiday time, you know, still read my Bible, read my books, go to the gym, all that, be productive. So, you know, when January comes, you got to pay rent. I didn't have the money. You know what I'm saying? I done had a job since I was 15 years old. Like I said, I applied for all the jobs. God wanted me to be still. Cool. So my friend, he comes tells, you know, he's here at the apartment. He comes tells me, yeah, Cody, they just sent a letter, you know what I'm saying, about the eviction notice, blah, blah, blah. If you don't pay by the 15th or the end of the month, they're going to start with the process. He was like, what you going to do? I said, I'm going to be still, because I've done everything that was in my control to do what I need to do about the situation. I already prayed to it about God. God is in control of the rest of it. I said, God don't want me to get evicted. I told him that. I said, God don't want me to get evicted. I already prayed about it, because I knew when I got back to school, I was going back to my job, and I was going to get a refund check to go towards the rent. So just yesterday at the gym, I got an email saying your refund has been processed. You know what I'm saying? So the money's going to be in my account probably Thursday or Friday. And even though I'm going to have to pay a late fee, you know, God's blessing is bigger than any lick or late fee that you'll possibly take in life. Seriously. So, you know, when I pay it, it'll all be forgotten. It'll all, you know what I'm saying? All be good, you know. But the main thing is, I didn't go around asking people for money. I didn't even go to my parents, because I knew that this is a situation that only God could have handled. Seriously. It wasn't no sweating, it wasn't no crying, it wasn't no turning left and right, asking a whole bunch of people around me. I believed in God during that time and that little season right there where I needed to lean on him and realize that nobody else was in control but him. But God also seen me take the steps to not just say, oh, I'm gonna just go home and not work. No, I applied for jobs. I put the effort out there to keep money in my pocket and to be a real man. But God just said, no, I want you to just sit still and not do nothing. Because, you know, sometimes as humans, we always think we always got to do something. Go here, go there, work here, work for this, work for that. But sometimes God just wants you to be still and just be cool with what he has planned for that season of your life right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing that I definitely had to realize for myself. And that's a situation I can always talk about personally, because I knew God didn't want me to get evicted, and it's not going to happen. So it's all good. And that's why I say God is the greatest. You know what I'm saying? So point number 4 I want to make, I want people to really start leaning on God for the void that they're trying to fill if you feel lonely or don't want to be alone either. When you think about the spiritual definition for alone, connect deeply with God, detaching from worldly distractions for prayer, time for reflection, and also self-discovery. I'm telling you, in life, I know a lot of people don't want to be alone. I know a lot of people want to be alone. And, you know, the first thing church people might say to you is, God didn't intend for man to be alone. He did it. But he also didn't intend for man to be a burden on others as well. You have to sit in your thoughts. You have to face your demons. You have to do that reflection time, that self-discovery for you to really be in tune with you. Because the spiritual definition for singleness is to be one with yourself, but also with the Lord at the same time. Singleness is probably the best thing that we can do for ourselves, because that allows you to have a relationship with you, but also with God as well. Because a lot of times for that external validation that you're looking out from the world, if you would give that to yourself and allow God to give that to you and not look for that from nobody else but from you and God, that hole in your heart will be filled up. Because you have to understand, a lot of people, you know, they feel like because they were looked over and nobody liked them when they was in middle school or high school, that they feel like now, because, you know, they had a glow up, they in college, or they're grown up and now they getting all this attention on social media, that they feel like they have to keep getting it over and over again. But you have to really ask yourself, when is enough really going to be enough? Because after all this validation, more and more and more and more, it's still not enough for you. So what is going to really fill that hole or that void in your heart? It's the Lord. It's God. You have to be in tune with yourself and also let God fill those holes in your heart. You know, let him fill the cries of your soul that the mouth can't even speak about. You see what I'm saying? And it's a real thing, because God wants to do that for you, but you also have to let God you also have to let yourself do that for yourself and let God do that for you too as well. You know what I'm saying? But see, the main thing, even me, I've been through that. I ain't never always been the person that's been people's first pick. I'd have been looked over by girls. I'd have been taken for granted. I'd have been played with. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. Even back then when I was doing stuff that I didn't have no business doing, you know, trying to fill a void and chasing after girls, and this girl after that one, the next one after that one. It meant nothing at the end of the day. The void was still there. I had to lean on myself and the Lord first and foremost. It means nothing. A lot of times people feel like you won't understand. I understand. Everybody understand. Everybody been through that. Even people that in middle school or high school, if they were the chosen ones, even after being a chosen one after that and life went on, some of them done got cheated on and been taken for granted and been looked over. It's okay. It happens to all of us. But the main point I'm really trying to make is, when you lean on God and you let God fill your heart up with something that no other human can supply you, that's when you really start to become good with yourself, and you're not feeding or even trying to rely on external validation from anybody else but yourself and the Lord himself. You see what I'm saying? So the point I'm really trying to make is, be good for you and nobody else. You have to be single for yourself. Singleness is not a bad thing. It's for a connection with yourself and to be alone with yourself and God as well. Singleness and individuality is the goal. Seriously, guys. Standing still in God's, and with any battle with God, but also realizing that he's the only source for all your needs and your insecurities and your desires to really be filled up in life. Not another person. It's a real thing out here. I understand that void that you're trying to fill in your heart. Let God fill it up. And I promise you, your life it'll be totally different than it is right now. With that being said, I want to thank you for another great episode. I always appreciate all the love and support from you guys. I wouldn't be nothing without God himself, but also you guys too as supporters. I want to thank y'all for continuing to like, comment, subscribe. I love you, but most importantly, so does God. And holla at your boy too. You know I see you real soon.